What's up, everybody? I'm Miles Deep, assistant coach at Wayzata High School and director of hockey operations at Wayzata Youth Hockey Association, and this is the Individual Skills Hockey Podcast. Steve Johnson is in his third year as the assistant coach of the Minnetonka Skippers. He's an alum of Minnetonka and then went on to play at the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers, finishing up there in 2018. Steve's journey to such a storied collegiate program is a very unique one. He is the literal definition of a late bloomer. He measured 5 feet 7 inches tall in high school. He was never invited to try out for the Minnesota High School Elite League. He didn't produce that many points, and he wasn't on the D1 radars out there in high school. But he experienced a 6-inch growth spurt after he graduated high school. Started to develop some offensive skill and production in junior hockey, where he played at Aberdeen and Omaha in the USHL. He credits his limitations as a younger player, helping him how to learn how to play defense effectively against top players, and also developing hockey sense. I find these types of stories super helpful and interesting for players that are maybe thinking about whether or not to pursue a career in junior hockey. You never know what's going to happen. It's similar to previous guest Jake Peranto, who was also a Gopher. In fact, this is our 7th former Gopher on the podcast, so I hope you aren't getting the idea that this is exclusively an ex-Gopher podcast. Steve has returned home and resides in Minnetonka, and his decision to start coaching at his alma mater is something I'm always going to be interested in. We discuss his early experience in coaching and how rewarding it is for him. I find it so enjoyable to find guys my age that are coaching at their old schools and talk hockey. We need more coaches out there, younger coaches, and Steve embodies all of that. So, I really enjoyed this conversation with Steve Johnson, and I hope you do too. Thanks a lot. All right, what's up? We're back with another episode. We're at the Pagel Activity Center in enemy territory for me. I'm your host, Miles Deeth, and we're lucky to have Steve Johnson on the episode today. Steve is one of the assistant coaches at Minnetonka varsity. I think this is your third year of doing that.
It's third year. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. How you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's like you said, it's good to be in home territory here. But yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So you played for Minnetonka, and then had a junior hockey career, and then ended up playing at the University of Minnesota, and then had a pro career as well, which we'll get into. So I kind of wanted to start with your high school days. Let's just go through really quickly your high school experience. Start on JV and stuff like that. So just buzz through that really quick.
Yeah, it was, we had a really good group. We had a really good class, my class specifically, and then we had a couple good classes above me and a couple of good classes below me. So we had a good, 4-year gap, I guess, with good kids. So my experience here at Minnetonka was great. I loved it. Like you said, sophomore year, I was on JV most of the time. My last game at my sophomore year, I was called up for varsity, so that was kind of fun. It was versus Buffalo. I always remember that. A couple shifts ahead, But, yeah, it was good. We had Brian Urick was our coach. Stevie Aronson, who's also, the assistant coach still now today, is coaching, was my coach too as well. So it was a really good group of kids that we had. Still some of my best friends today. And then obviously my senior year was on varsity. So we never won the whole thing, but we had some good great memories. And I always tell the kids that I coach nowadays too, it's probably one of the most fun times, growing up with the kids that you literally grew up with since you're the age of 5 years old. To do it with them, it's really special. So yeah.
Yeah, so kind of describe your junior and senior year as far as your role in the team. Were you a high point producing guy, power play guy, or just elite league and stuff like that? How would you describe that for yourself?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of people don't really believe me when I say this, but I never got invited even to try out for the elite league in high school. I was never a point guy. I was a defenseman, so I was never a point guy, never really on the power play. Kind of a shutdown guy. I did a lot of, I was smaller. I think I was about 5'7" or so. I was always playing against the other team's top lines, though, which was good, really good for me to, as a smaller guy, I had to learn to, body positioning, and I wasn't the strongest guy out there. So stick positioning, body positioning, so it really allowed me to, learn that aspect of hockey, especially as a defenseman. So, yeah, I never, I think I scored my first varsity goal on senior night of my senior year. And I mean, you'd have to fact check me on a couple of these, but I probably had maybe 10 to 15 points all of high school. So never a point guy, never really got the limelight. A lot of my teammates did, but it definitely motivated me because I knew I could play, but I never got that limelight, so to speak. So, and we'll get into it a little bit more, I know. So, but yeah, it was a great experience overall. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, and if we kind of speed up here to post-high school stuff, you decide to pursue a career in junior hockey. I know you started at the Aberdeen Wings in the North American League. Talk about that process and that decision to pursue it, first of all, and then kind of how you got an opportunity at Aberdeen.
Yeah, for sure. So this was my senior year of Minnetonka now. We were at the X for that tournament at the Schwann's Cup. And Aberdeen came down after the game, and this is a North American Hockey League team. And they just said, hey, we really like you. We want to tender you, kind of a thing. And at that time, I wasn't sure. Obviously, I really wanted to play hockey. I wasn't sure where I was in terms of how good I could be. But I knew I was a good player. I always believed in myself. I knew I could play with even my teammates who were really good, who were committed to Division I schools. Obviously, like I said, I was going up against the other team's best players, like Kyle Rao and some of those guys, right? So I knew I could play, but I just never really got that opportunity, so to speak. So I always wanted to just see what I could do and just give it a shot. So Aberdeen, it was close. It's kind of close to home, it's about 4 hours away, so it's kind of one of the reasons why I chose it. And so I tendered there. Played there. I was given a good opportunity there, and played. I was a top 4 defenseman there, and I just logged a lot of ice time, and I kind of learned as I went. It's juniors is a really fun time, but it can be a really tough time as well. It's maybe a lot of guys' first time away from home, and luckily I roomed with another buddy of mine, Eric Baskin, who I grew up with, who also played here at Minnetonka. We had a bunch of guys who were around the metro that we were able to there was probably about 8 of us that we all played there, actually. Kind of funny story. But so it never got like homesick or anything like that. It was a really good opportunity for me. I played really well. I think I was 5'7" when I graduated high school, and I think I ended up being like 6'1". Like just grew like 5-6 inches in like a year.
1 year.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I was a super late bloomer, and
so talk about that kind of growth spurt and what that added to your game. Maybe I know you mentioned you were kind of more of a shutdown guy in high school, just focus on the defensive end. But looking up your stats at Aberdeen, then Omaha the year after, started to produce more points, which is obviously part of the piece of the puzzle in earning a spot on a Division I team. So talk about how you developed that piece of the game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, like I said earlier, I was a young kid, but I was like 5'6", 5'7", right? But I was going up against some of the other team's top players and top lines. So I had to learn the body positioning, the stick positioning. I wasn't the strongest guy out there, so how am I going to stop these top-end guys who are really good players? So I kind of learned that aspect of the game. And then when I started to grow into myself a little bit, that's when I actually gained some strength. So I think being a late bloomer like myself, and I can speak to a lot of players that might be going through the same transition, is you just have to trust the process, learn the hard way, so to speak, as to how to defend, how to get the stick positioning, your body positioning right. And then when your strength does come, now you have the best of both worlds, because you have your stick positioning, you have your body positioning right, but now you have your strength, and you can actually remove guys away from the puck. You can box out in front of the net. You can do all those things. So I think that for me specifically, having both of those to my game now really allowed me to, accelerate my growth in the game. And during it, I was, I wish I was obviously taller at the time, right, in high school. But looking back, it's like that was a blessing in disguise because I had to learn the hard way. And then when I did grow and when I did gain strength, then I had the best of both worlds. So I'm actually very thankful for that.
Yeah, and I see this all the time in youth hockey. You see the kid that's a early puberty kid maybe doesn't develop the hockey sense required because he just doesn't need it.
For sure.
And for someone like you, obviously, you needed to develop those skills in order to survive, first of all, and even make the team.
For sure.
And then,
yeah,
like that strength is, and the height and everything that comes with it, obviously helped you. So,
yeah.
Second year, junior, you make the move to the USHL in Omaha. Talk a little bit about when the recruiting process started with the U and other schools that might have been interested, and how that kind of all went.
Yeah, that was a really quick process for me. It was after my first. Actually, I'll back it up just a hair. In Aberdeen, I was actually emailing USHL teams. I was emailing Division III teams. I was emailing Division I teams just to try to get my name out there. I just was trying to do whatever I could. Just, hey, kind of a quick email. This is my name. This is my number. Please come watch me, kind of a thing. And funny story, I actually emailed Sean Goldsworthy, who was the head coach at St. Olaf at the time.
Okay.
And I was emailing him, and I said, hey, can you come watch me, kind of a thing. He was the only guy that got back to me.
Really?
Yeah, he was the only guy that got back to me, and then he started recruiting me to go to St. Olaf as a Division III. But after Aberdeen years ended, I got drafted in the USHL pretty high, and I had no idea I was going to get drafted. They never even spoke to me. For kids listening, they're always watching you, and they might not talk to you, but they're always watching you. So I had no idea I was going to get drafted. I got drafted really high. I went into Omaha. I played really well right away. They have that fall showcase right away. And I remember at the end of the showcase, I think we played 2 or 3 games, and there was about a line of, 20 schools or whatever outside the locker room. And that's when I kind of knew, like I said earlier, I always believed in myself, and I always believed that I was a really hard worker. But when that, coming out of the locker room there, it's like, okay, now I really believe in myself.
Yeah, and you can realize you actually can play Division I hockey.
For sure.
Because of that interest. So,
yeah.
What led you to the U? Obviously, I mean, it's an easy answer probably for most Minnesota kids, but was there anything specific that drew you there? Or?
There obviously a lot of tradition, a lot of pride, being a hometown kid, growing up watching them. I try to play devil's advocate with myself a little bit throughout the recruiting process. You get 5 visits, official visits. I took 4 of them. I try to take all 5. They squeezed me a little bit, but I try to play devil's advocate and look at other schools, which I'm very thankful that I did. It was a really cool opportunity for me. But at the end of the day, it was hard for me to say no to such a prestigious program. Not only obviously athletically, but just a good school, just for opportunities there after college. So I did put a lot of time and effort into thinking of it, and I know a lot of kids, if they get the opportunity, they'll go right away, but I really want to make sure it was a good fit. So I did put some effort in it, devil's advocate a little bit, and happy with that decision. So
I'm curious. I just thought of a question. I didn't tell you I was going to ask something like this, but looking back at your high school career, let's say a hypothetical, maybe you were a little bit more developed in your junior and senior year, and you had a little bit more success, and you're playing in an elite league. And what do you think you would have done if you got an offer to maybe go to a school that's a little bit smaller out east, or just a little bit lower tier of a school compared to the U where you ended up? Do you think you would have pulled the trigger on that right then to secure something, or do you think that you're the type of personality that would have explored things in juniors and try to end up where you wanted to be?
That's a great question. That's a great question because, especially at a school like Minnesota, they kind of get their cream of the crop, right, guys, and they commit kids very early.
Yeah.
So their classes are always kind of, they already have enough guys there. For me, I was lucky because I was the late bloomer, but they still needed guys, and they didn't want to lose me, and so I was kind of fit that right opportunity, that right time. Just like in pro sports, it's all timing and opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a really good question, though. I think I would have. I think I probably would have waited. I know it's really easy to secure something, but for me, like I said, I come back to it again. I really did believe in myself, and I believed in everything happens for a reason, kind of a thing. So I think I probably would have waited and just kind of explore more opportunities and probably try to grab somewhere closer to home, Midwest-ish or Colorado-ish. But yeah.
No, I think it's interesting and kind of leads into my next question here. Obviously, you're on the high school staff at Minnetonka now. What do you take from your experience as a player and try to pass on to the kids as it relates to this kind of stuff, the whole process of your high-end kids trying to play at the next level?
For sure. Yeah, I think first off, it's a blessing, to be able to give back. I think obviously, you coach Wayzata and you don't do it, for the money, so to speak, right? It's very extremely rewarding for me. It's very time consuming, but it's extremely rewarding. I think part of it too is you have a good group of kids that they work hard and they want to get to the next level, but they're also good kids. So obviously parents are very important with that. But for me, I've a lot of the kids have asked me, how to do this. Do I know this coach? Do I know that coach? What do you know about this program? What do you know about that program? Kind of a thing. So I've sat down with quite a few guys, meetings, summertime, fall, spring, whatever, and we just hash it out. And I'd let them know everything that I knew and, things like that. And for me, that's huge because it's a big decision. It's potentially 4 years of your life. It's your college. It's your academic. It's, it kind of sets you up, for some things later in life. So it's a very big decision. I'll never, ever tell someone or some kid, hey, I think you should go there or over here. I'll just tell them, from my experiences, or this coach or this institution, this academics, like, here's what I see in this, and it's everything is their decision, as it should be, because they deserve it and they've worked their tail off their whole life for it, and it should be their decision, should be their family's decision. So yeah.
I think it's nice probably that you are a little bit younger in age to where they might even remember you playing at the U. I joke with Pat all the time, and I think a lot of our kids don't even realize that he played at the U because they weren't alive. But I think that's really cool. So just kind of more overall, get into the coaching side of things now. What sparked your interest to start coaching, and how did you end up here getting the opportunity with Goldie? Obviously, you played for Brian Urich, so it wasn't the coach that you played for. Different than me. I played for Pat at Wayzata, but kind of how did that all start?
Yeah, that's another good story too. I was 2 years ago in the summertime, or actually be 3 years ago, summertime, and it was in August. And what happened was I was kind of deciding between going back to play another year pro or kind of starting the flying gig full time, being a pilot. And I
didn't mention that. Steve's a full-time pilot and a commercial pilot now. New gig.
New gig. So, for me, it was, I actually signed a contract. I had a deal. I trained all summer, skated all summer, worked out all summer. I was supposed to leave first week of August to go over to Sweden to play in the Allsvenskan over there. A couple buddies were over there. It was in Stockholm. It was a really good opportunity. And I was like, what, this could be great. It might be my last year. I kind of might want to move on, but I love hockey. It's all I've done right my whole life, and it's given me so much. And so I actually called the general manager of that team I want to say it was 2 days prior to me supposed to leave. And I just kind of told him, look, I've had a change of heart. It was kind of weighing on me all summer because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, but I wanted to secure something. So I told him. He was very understanding about it. He was very awesome about it. He totally understood. And then I think after that phone call, maybe a week later, probably less than a week, I get a phone call from Goldie. And I said, hey, you're not playing anymore, kind of a thing. And he's like, why don't we go out for dinner tomorrow night? So yeah, met him at dinner, and he's like, you'd be a great fit. We really want you. We really need you. I was at a time in my life where do I want to move on from hockey, or do I want to give it a year off, or kind of a thing. And I was like, let's do it. Let's try it. It's obviously, I'm an alumni here. I think that goes a long ways, kind of like, yourself.
Yep.
I couldn't say that I'd be doing this at another program, because I think it's just the culture that, as you guys know, and that's where you're from, So if it was a different group or different program, probably not. But this is Minnetonka, and so this is where I'm an alumni from. So for me, I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's do it. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity from Goldie. I'm very grateful that I chose to come back and to work with the kids. And like I said earlier, it's just extremely rewarding, as I'm sure you've can tell as well.
For sure.
So, yeah.
So had you kept in contact with Goldie, or did you know him really at all? I'm just curious on there's other guys that quit playing that are Tonka alums that it just seemed like you were on his radar. It seemed like he was waiting for you to stop playing. So
yeah,
did you know him at all?
Yeah, so like I said, in Aberdeen, I emailed him cold call, like a cold email, right? And he got back to me. He recruited me, so we knew of each other a little bit. I think through the grapevine, through hockey, it's a very small world. I think that's kind of how he came to know of my character and stuff, so to speak. And then obviously through college, I never really spoke with him much. And then, coming back here, I think it was COVID and some other stuff going on. So we actually had a good group skating here at Pagel in the summertime, and I'd see him around every once in a while, not very much. And, I think when he called me, I had Sean Goldsworthy St. Olaf in my phone for contact information. So, it sounded like we spoke all the time or whatnot, and that's when I think he just said, let's go to dinner, and let's talk it out, let's hash it out, so.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but Coach Hillen left the team, and then that kind of created a spot on the bench for you?
Correct, yep, he was the defensive coach.
Okay.
He was there for a couple of years, I think, and he left. I think he's coaching his kids. He's always around, though. He's always... He's got a knack for it too. He's a really good guy. So I've learned a lot from him as well. So yeah.
Nice. All right. So I've mentioned it before. Obviously, we're 30 years old or around that age. I think it's really cool to have guys go back to their alma mater and start coaching, especially at a younger age before they have kids that are involved in hockey. Dan Molinar is another example of a guy at Eden Prairie that is a year ahead of us, but he's coaching for them now. So if you were to sell a guy that maybe one of your buddies from high school on trying to get into coaching, what would be your sales pitch to him on getting involved? Why is coaching the best, in my opinion?
Rewarding.
Yeah.
It's rewarding. It's extremely rewarding for me. Especially here at Minnetonka and for hockey. For me, hockey has given me so much in my life, right? It's given me, I can't even describe how much it's given me. Lifelong friends, memories, travel, free college. It's given me so much, right? So it's extremely rewarding for me. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. Obviously, we've all put in a lot of work and effort in it, but not everybody gets there, right? So it was extremely rewarding for me. So for me, it's okay, I want to give back. I really do. And I think that's the key, it's just being able to give back and trying to give that to somebody else if you can, right? Trying to give some of these kids an opportunity to go live out their dreams, at least for a little bit, and if I'm talking to another coach, that's kind of what I would say. It's really rewarding. And, you're not doing it for the money. You're not doing it, it's time consuming, right? And all that stuff. But it's just really rewarding. And you're trying to, continue that legacy and try to give kids an opportunity that you had, that you're very lucky that you had, right? And trying to, give them that opportunity to live out their dream.
Yeah, and obviously it's a lot of time, and we all know that, but what I always say is, like, the time spent, first of all, like, half of it is like you develop, like, those are your friends, right? Like, your coaching staff is your friends, right. or you have ex-players that come back that become your friends. So that, like, it's not really work. Like, you're just hanging out with your buddies most of the time.
In the locker room.
Yeah. And also it is a short season, right? I mean, it's not your whole year, so.
And it's in the winter time too, so it's,
what else are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, we can move on. I was going to ask you, so being a younger coach, you're not that much older than the players.
Yeah.
Especially like your first year, was that a challenge, and how do you walk that fine line of coach-player relationship?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge. It's I think it's both, though. I think it's a blessing and I think it's a challenge. I think it's a blessing because you're young, and you just removed out of the game and you've been there and you've done it, and so your stock kind of goes up because the kids know, they believe in you, they trust you because you just were there, and so all the advice that you give them, stop and practice, going to and from drills, whatever it may be on the ice, in the game, they trust you with that. So I think that's a huge blessing, and it gives your stock a lot. It's a challenge, I think, too, because, like, for me, coming from pro, it's like you're expected to know everything, and it's everything is kind of just there, but then you have to kind of dumb it down back to high school, and really the teaching comes into play, and it's more teaching, and sometimes you have to stop to teach things. And for me, like, my first year, I struggled with that because, like, I just kind of expected, they should make a tape-to-tape pass or catch it on their backhand or things like that, right? And then now coming back down to high school, it's like, okay, now we have to take a step back. So for me, that was a challenge, just to kind of dumb things down. Not dumb it down, but, like, you know what I mean? Just slow it down a little bit. Well, yeah,
and, like, I didn't – honestly, like, that's where I think I've had an advantage personally, like, coaching high schools, because, like, I didn't play Division I or pro hockey, so like, I'm still at high school brain. I mean, obviously, I've learned stuff over the years, but, like, that's always something that comes up as
for sure.
ex pro guys are like, "What do you mean? How do you not understand that?"
Yeah,
right. Like,
so that was a challenge. Like Goldie, and we had to, he helped me a lot with that, and he's been a mentor to me as well in the coaching, because it's new, because you just want to play, right? So when you're a coach, it's just different. So he's been a mentor to me for that, for sure.
Nice. So we didn't play high school hockey that long ago, but I think the game has changed in some ways. What would you say the biggest differences are between when we played in the late 2000s, early 2010s to nowadays?
I think kids are more skilled. I do. I think kids are more skilled than, even though, like you said, we didn't play that long ago. It wasn't that long ago at all. But I think kids are definitely more skilled. I think they're faster. You see it. I know we're talking about high school, but you also see it in the NHL and the AHL. It's becoming a younger league, right? And it's faster. It's more skilled. And you see guys doing the Michigan. And so it's a little bit of a, the old school hockey coaches, the old school way to play is kind of drowned out a little bit. I mean, it's still going to be there. It'll probably always be there, but it's definitely changed regarding the skill and the speed of these games. And I think especially in high school, and too, I remember when I was in high school, it's like, I don't remember ever going through defensive zone plays or offensive zone plays, or we had structure obviously, but
maybe like some video. We didn't really do that much video.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's that in regards to that, I mean, that's totally changed as well, So yeah, it's exciting, that's what brings you here. So yeah.
Yeah, I was at Bloomington for the second semifinal after we won last Saturday, and I overheard a conversation with a guy that used to play at Benilde, and his take was that there is more skill, but there's like less hockey sense. And
yeah,
I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think. So I'm a coach of the defenseman, right? So I coach the D, and that's what I always preach is just have hockey sense, right? Because you might not be the fastest player, you might not be the biggest player, you might not be the most skilled player, but if you have common sense and you can make a play, like that goes a long way. You hit the center versus you hit the winger on the breakout, and then you got speed coming through the middle of the ice. That makes a huge player, a huge, it changes games. And I tell these guys all the time, it's like a lot of these guys up in the stands and friends and family, they don't understand that, but we do, and that's what wins games. It really does. So I think there is a little bit of truth to that, but also too, I think hockey sense goes a really long ways.
And I think the maybe like perceived lack of hockey sense sometimes comes from actually the level of skill in the game at such a young age. So like the way I think of it is like kids are so comfortable with the puck, with their eyes up and making really skilled plays that it sometimes gets them into trouble, especially like when they go through Pee Wee and Bantam. Like they develop these habits that, like, quite frankly, like myself growing up, my only option was to like not handle the puck and like hit the middle on,
for sure,
keep it on your forehand, like, because that's the only skill level I had. There was no other tool bag in my,
for sure,
to try to do something that like is a mistake or is dumb. So that's what I think comes from it too.
Totally. And like you talk about hitting puberty early, right? So the guys can have the puck for longer, okay? But when everybody else catches up, like, you can't do that, because what's going to happen is you're going to turn the puck over and it's going to be in your net, kind of a thing. So it's very similar to that. And I think I always tell my defensemen, don't massage it, don't massage the puck, don't massage the pill,
I like that.
Because it's it can only bring trouble, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, just a couple more. This season obviously is an awesome season for you guys here at Tonka, us as well as Wayzata. It sort of reminds me of the 2009-2010 season, just because I remember looking back, Tonka had guys like Justin Hall, Andrew Prochnow, Troy Hesketh, Jimmy Kruger in net, and Max Gardner. So like bunch of D1 guys. I think we tied twice that year. So just kind of an epic season. Do you? I know you were on JV, but you were part of the program. Do you draw on any of those experiences from those great teams to your guys this year?
Totally. Yeah, I think that was a really special group that we had, and some really good skilled players that you mentioned too, and there was a lot of guys too on that team where like they were just really good role players as well. When I compare it to this season that we've had, this group of kids that we had last year, now they came back for this year for their senior year. I would say that I think that this group here is probably more skilled and is probably better overall than when we had back in 2010. And I don't say that lightly, because obviously I was a part of that group, so you always want to be the best, right? But I really think that this group has got it, and it's a very special group, and they've deserved it, and they work their tail off, and so it's exciting to be around for me, and try to give them all the advice I can and coach them up hard, and see where we can go with it, right? Just like you guys. I mean, you guys got section final here. We have our section final here this week, so we're all kind of ramped up, ready to go, and that's why you play. That's kind of why you play hockey. Just be with your buddies and see what you can do with it, So
yeah. So talk a little bit about how hard it's to keep your guys motivated this season, to to stay unblemished, obviously not losing after winning it all last year? Obviously, there's our high school kids, so has that been difficult to keep them motivated and keep them uber focused every single day?
Yeah. I think I think it's about half and half. I think the kids, I will say the kids are very good. I mean, they have a clean slate. They recognize that it's a new year. They recognize that new things can happen. There's going to be new challenges, right? The good thing is like they kind of know how we operate around here. They know what we like to do, how we like to play. So in that regard, it's pretty seamless. But they do understand that it's a new year, it's a new clean slate. We got guys like Wayzata, we got some other teams that are very good, so in terms of the focus, these guys are pretty focused and they're mature for their age, which is great. We as coaches sometimes we nitpick at certain things, and sometimes you have to take a step back and realize, okay, we're doing pretty well overall. But that's the part of it where you always want to be better no matter what. As a coach, as an athlete, as a person, you just want to be better. And so there's that fine line, that healthy balance that you try to not overcome, but just be kind of right there. So I would say it's credit to the kids. I mean, I think they're doing a fantastic job, and we always preach to them week by week, right? Week by week, you got to win the week. You got to win, we'll worry about Monday, we'll worry about Tuesday, we'll worry about Wednesday, and then you guys can unleash on Thursday. Then it's your time, right? And then Friday we'll come back, and then Saturday you guys get to unleash, right? So it's just kind of trying to take that 3-4 month season and try to divvy it up. And now we're just on week 15 here with the section final. I believe it's week 15. So it's like, okay, now we'll coach them up here this week, and then guys, it's time to unleash. You got the pen to the paper, right? So It's kind of just like divvying it up, and I think that goes a long way for the focus aspect of it.
Yeah. So you had a number of guys that had opportunities to play in the USHL this year, but they decided to come back. And I've heard some interviews from a couple of the guys, and they talk about wanting to be with your buddies just every single day, which I think is really cool. But I'm curious on do you guys as a coaching staff feel a pressure to continue to develop them in sort of like a junior-like atmosphere here at the rink, and just talk about those decisions that they may have made
for sure. Yeah, we're very fortunate here at Minnetonka. We have a lot of resources. Like we have two ice rinks. We have a really good summer program, spring, fall. We have Kirk Olson and our strength and conditioning guy. So we have a lot of resources that these kids can use. So they're not, pressured, I should develop here, I should develop there kind of thing. You can develop right here because we have the shooting tarps. We have everything here for you at your disposable kind of a thing. So that goes a long way. I think it starts with the kids. I think it starts with the kids, the way that they grow up, the way that how close they are with friends. You've experienced it. I know if I've experienced it. You just want to be with each other. You go to hockey every day and you just work hard, and you want to be together because you've been together since you were the age of 5, and you want to do it again and again, and you only get a couple years at it in high school. So I think that goes a long ways, and they've recognized that, and they know that their time's ticking here, and they only have a couple years with it. So I think culture is huge. We've developed a pretty good culture. Goldie's done a really good job of that when he came in 2018, with involving the kids, but also involving alumni and making sure that this program's on the right track. So he's done a fantastic job. He lives and eats it, every day. So he's done a very, very good job of that. And I think that's a huge aspect when it comes to the culture. So I think kids want to be a part of that, and they see it, and they truly believe it. And it's a special place when it's like that, when it's kind of going like that rhythm. So I think it starts with the kids, obviously, right? You got to make sure that they're they're close-knit, they're a close-knit group, they're not getting off in any trouble, anything like that, but also just making sure that they have the resources that they can use every day to get better, to accomplish their dreams, their goals, and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think it's awesome, and I think you guys do a great job here. And just to the original question, like developing here compared to in a junior hockey setting, it's like your quality practice. I'm sure I've never watched one of your practices, but it's the same thing. You have experience in the coaching staff, and then like you said, you have all this off-ice stuff to just get better too. So
for sure.
And with the schedule that you guys have, you're going
right.
up against quality opponents all the time. So it's like
right.
It's not. It's you'll be just
Lake
fine staying
schedule.
in high school. You'll be just fine staying in high school is the overall message.
For sure.
So last question. What's next for your coaching plans? Do you have stuff planned out? Do you have aspirations to be a head coach or do any different levels? Obviously, you're a full-time pilot, so I know you're committed to that. So
yeah,
what's kind of next?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't thought about it too much. So like usually in the springtime, maybe early summer, I kind of revisit it. Kind of like, as you know, when you're in the season, you're so in the groove a little bit. So I haven't really visited it too much. I'm just kind of going year to year right now. But I'll tell you what, if it's anything like it's been since I've been here and been able to give back, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I think, like I said, I don't think I'd be doing it anywhere else, so to speak. And in terms of coaching career, I think it'd be, I've played hockey through juniors, college, and pro, and some of those coaches, man, they grind. I mean, that's a tough to get up to the top. That's tough. You're away from your family almost all year, late nights, bus rides. So I don't think that's on my agenda. I think hockey's given me so much where I'll stay away from that, but this right now in my backyard is kind of, like I said, I walked into it. Goldie just came with me with open arms, and I walked into it, and I never thought, like, if you told me I would be here, I would say, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So, but now looking back, I think it's like, this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm just so, like, the more I do it, the more I want to do it, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you relate to that at all, but that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can wrap it up. That's all I got. Good luck this week. I think this episode is gonna drop the morning of your game, your section final. So
Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Wish us luck.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah.